There. Today we're going to do a lesson on how to do a 3D optical illusion called wormies. This is what the finished product looks like. Pretty cool. Okay. What you're going to need to do this project is a piece of white paper, a Sharpie, and a bunch of colored pencils. Your choice of the color. Now this is a good lesson for anybody in middle school through high school. You can make this as easy or as difficult as you'd like. Our first step is that you're going to, on your piece of paper, use your Sharpie and draw a wavy line, just like this. Pretty simple. Our next step is we are going to make some dots along our wavy line here. And this is just to use as some spacers for our tubies or our 3D optical illusion. Okay, so now we've got our space done. Now is the time where we go to draw. Okay, so the first step for each of these is we're going to create a little football shape going from dot to dot. Just like so. Okay. So now it kind of looks like a bunch of footballs all strung together. To make this into our optical illusion, now we have to use some strategic thinking, some design elements of, going further away and closer up using perspective. We have to do some management of the space. So our next step is this actual turning this football into our tubie or our worm. So to do that, you are simply going to start following as however you want that same shape, and you can get smaller. And if it goes smaller, just like this, it's going to look like it's going towards the background, and then you can get bigger again. And now I'm going to finish going off the page. So that one looks like it's getting smaller and bigger. On the bottom here, I'm going to continue with this one. And all I'm doing is kind of using this crescent shape going from the last line to the next line. And I'm getting bigger here, and I'm going to start getting smaller. By choice, I don't have to do that. Okay, and I'm going to drag that all the way to the edge of the page. So I now have one worm to be done, and you can see it looks like it's getting smaller and bigger. Okay, and now I'm going to show you another one next to it. I'm just going to go with this one, and it does not have to touch the other worm or tubie. it can be its own worm or tube. And so you see now I have this space left over. And what I like to do is I like to create a new tubie or worm in that space so that it's kind of behind the others. And next I'm going to go back here and I'm going to finish this, and I'm going to get really big here. And then I'm going to continue this. Oh, and it looks like I'm going to run into that, but that's no problem. I'm going to go behind and use overlapping and perspective to help show that. And now I'm left with another little space. So I'm going to go the opposite direction here. I'm going to create my own little tubie in there to fill up the space. Okay, and so now I've got, some of it done. I'm going to show you one more. And this is my big one here. He's gigantic. And it's okay if you mess up a little, because you're not going to notice any of those mess ups. It's a very forgiving project. And I'm just going to curve that over like that. And finish this one off. Okay, so I've got, a lot of it drawn here, and I'm going to step over and show you one that is now finished being drawn. Okay, so I did the exact same thing here. This is not the exact same one, and I'm going to actually take that one that I showed you here, and I kind of, if you look, I had to be strategic here in this corner and fit some into the space, but I'm going to bring in a copy of that is finished here, and here it is side by side. And so if you want to look at what I've done here, basically you have a couple of options, and I'm going to show you how to color that. And how to strategically do this so that it looks 3D. All right, so I'm going to start with this one here. This is matching this one here, so I'm going to do that one. And so the two colors I need are red and purple. So I've got my red here, regular red, and I've got my purple, regular old purple colored pencil. And so I'm going to take this and I'm going to practice some of my shading techniques. So I'm going to alternate. So I'm going to start in the corner and I'm going to shade from dark to light, doing a nice job trying to use my blending skills. And there are two ways you could do this. You could go, from side to side or top to bottom. Either way, as long as you're blending your colors, really works well. Okay, so you can see how that one is now shaded. Okay, I'm going to alternate. So I'm just going to quickly go through this. Okay, and I'm going to do this to a bunch of them, and I'm going to go quick so that it doesn't take too long. This is not a quick assignment. I did my example. It took me several hours to do it. So being that I have done this before and I knew what I was doing, it should probably take a student several hours to do this. If it were in my classroom, I would probably have 3 to 5 classes for this, just because of time. We always do a bell ringer. We always, start our lesson, end our lesson, have to put away supplies, that kind of thing. So, it should probably take at least an hour to 2, possibly even 3, to do this at home. Or just work on it for 15 minutes at a time. That would work too. And, you know, do it over a whole week. That would work. So I've actually posted this on my website for my students to do. Okay, so now it kind of looks like a candy cane. Hope you can see that pretty well. I'll show this a little bit closer here. Now, if we look at the example that I'm going from, the second color was purple, and so I'm going to do the exact same thing. And if you notice, all of the white spots, so it faded from red to white, and that's called a highlight or a reflection. I'm going to try to keep the highlight or reflection in the purple in the general same area as I did on the red. So I'm just going to start here in the middle, okay, with my purple. And I'm just going to, you know, do my shading here. See, I'm trying to keep it in the same general area as I did with the red. It doesn't have to be perfect. And I'm going to quickly go through this, the rest of these, you know, going from dark to light, darkest on the edges. And what this does is it gives the optical illusion of being round and having a light reflected off of it. So 2 in 1. And you see that little wormy there didn't go all the way back, so you have to kind of get creative there. Alright, so I'm halfway finished with that one. I'm going to finish this little wormy guy up. And, you know, he looks really cool. I'm not going to show you all of these, but I am going to show you a few of my favorite little wormies on this project. And you can, you know, use that. Okay. Oh, 3 more. Forgot about those. The top here. It's easy to do. Alright, so now my wormy is complete. And if you look, you know, I just did the exact same thing I did there. Okay. I'm going to show you maybe this one here, this yellow and orange and green one. It's fairly easy to do. So that's this little skinny one that was behind here, okay? And 3 colors I need for that are orange. I used a yellow green here. And then I used a regular yellow, 3 colors. So first step is to do exactly what I have done here on the red and the purple. Let me get a little closer here. I'm going to, and again we're working here. First I'm just shading this orange because I wanted to show a little depth there. So I'm just going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to show you this one because it's a really cool technique I show my students, you know, using color blending. So orange is analogous to yellow, which means it's next to it on the color wheel. It goes red, red, orange, orange, yellow, orange, and then yellow. And then it goes yellow, green, green, blue, green, and so forth. So they're analogous. They're next to each other, and they're related. Because to make orange, you need red and yellow. Okay, so I did all of the orange stripes there. Now I'm done with orange. I'm going to go back with the yellow green, and I'm going to do the same thing with yellow green. And this trick works because, like I said, these colors are analogous, and this is yellow-green, so it definitely has a lot of yellow in it. Less blue than yellow. And it's analogous to yellow on the color wheel. Using our art vocabulary there. Okay, so now I finished my shading. The last step is I'm going to take this yellow And because yellow is transparent, I'm going to color on top of all of this with the yellow, creating the illusion that the highlight or reflection is yellow. So I'm going to just create some friction here. Friction creates heat, and heat melts the wax and makes the colors look bolder and richer. Here we go. All right. So you can see I went, and we can look here. Oh, it doesn't match anymore, so I'm going to go over the entire thing, creating friction, melting these colors together, and they blend together so nicely because they are analogous and because yellow is a transparent color. All right, so here we go. Look how nice and bright that looks, and it's exactly the same as what I did on my original. I'm going to show you a few more. You could take this and put it together. I'm going to do this top corner here, this little Matterhorn here, and if you see on my finished one, it's really cool. So I'm going to get my black colored pencil, and it's one of my favorite ones. So I'm going to shade with my black colored pencil here. Oop, I'm sorry, I keep messing that up. And alternating. So this is kind of like our red and purple. It's just a shading using one color and leaving the middle white because, of course, you know, black fading into white, classic. Okay, so I'm done with my black here. And my next one, I'm going to reuse yellow again, and I'm going to take a turquoise color. I love this color. This is actually called aqua green. It's just a Crayola color. And I'm going to shade now. Some of you might say, oh, I like these two colors together. I really like these two colors together too, but I just wanted to show you that you can mix the techniques here. Okay, so oh, I like that, yes, but you could also go back now with the yellow on top of that turquoise color and really just make it pop. So now I've combined two of those techniques. Now I've got this really nice rich, the yellow blending all the way from yellow into turquoise, and then the white just fading into black. So I've kind of taken this technique and blended them together. Okay, our final technique I'm going to show you is where you do two of the blendings, but they're two different colors. Okay, so I'm going to use a purple. Let's see, where's my purple? Here it is. Here's my purple, Crayola purple. I'm going to use a pink. All right, I'm going to use a brown, and I'm going to use my yellow again. This time I'm going to use like a golden kind of yellow. Let me see where it is. Here it is, just yellow. Okay, so I'm going to start here, and just to show you where we are here on my finished one, it's this kind of like, looks like a LSU worm. Okay, now if we look, you know, I've done a lot of the ones that just fade to white. I've kind of mixed them up, like this one I did green and white, and this one I did red and peach. Here I did a 3 pattern. I did blue, I did turquoise, and I did magenta, and just left the middle white. So you can mix it up and help them really stand out. Okay, so to do this really cool LSU one, it kind of also reminds me of the Cheshire Cat in Alice in Wonderland a little bit. So I'm not going to do the whole thing, but because it just takes a really long time. So you do your first shading with your purple. Okay. And I'm doing my reflection here. Making sure it's nice and rich in color. And I'll do a few of these. So I'm just alternating. It really turns out nice. It's okay if you leave some lines because it helps kind of make it look curved after all. All right. Okay, so I'm doing 4 here. Okay, and my second color is pink. So I'm going to color on top of pink. Now, why would I choose pink? Well, because red and purple are analogous. All right, they're next to each other on the color wheel. And pink is a tint of red. So I know that they're related. I know that they're analogous on the color wheel. And I'm just coloring on top of it, creating that friction, blending that color together, heating up the wax that's in the color pencil. Okay, so here we go. Almost done with that. All right. So now I've gone, from purple and white to purple and pink. And now the second step in between, I'm using brown and yellow. So brown, gonna shade first. Now there are many ways you can make brown. One of the easiest ways is adding all three primary colors together, or orange with a little touch of black in it. And so orange and yellow are analogous colors in the color wheel again. And so brown is a shade of orange. It's a darker shade. And so I'm going to take this yellow and go on top of my brown. It's going to blend it together because I'm creating friction. So it kind of gives the illusion here of purple and gold. I don't know if you can see that. So this is a really long one, but you can see here's my finished copy. Okay, and if I continue all the way through there, it would go all the way into that one. Well, I hope you've really enjoyed this, and I'm sure there's a million ways you could color this. There's 200 colors in some of your color pencil collections, and you could just do this anyway, and every single time you do it, it's going to turn out completely different and create your own unique piece of artwork. I really hope you've enjoyed this lesson, and I can't wait to see when you post your Wormy or 3D optical illusion finished projects, and have a great day.
Hey everyone, my name is Lauren Bethencourt, and I am a St. Tammany Parish public school teacher. I teach 8th grade science, and I'm so glad that you could join us today for this lesson. Today I will be reviewing Punnett squares. So let's take a look. It says Bikini Bottom genetics. Scientists at Bikini Bottoms have been investigating the genetic makeup of the organisms in this community. Use the information provided in your knowledge of genetics to answer each question. For each genotype below, indicate whether it is heterozygous or homozygous. The key thing to remember here is that heterozygous is represented by letters that are different capitalizations. For instance, a big T and a little t, as you can see here. Homozygous, which means same. So that means that the letters would be the same capitalization. There are two options for this. You could have big T, which is homozygous. You could also have little t as homozygous, because both letters are capitalized or lowercase. So as long as they have the same capitalization, they are considered to be the same. So let's take a look at this first part. Big T. As I mentioned earlier, this would be considered homozygous. The next one is big B, little b. They have different capitalizations. Therefore, this would be considered heterozygous. Big D. You guessed it. This would be homozygous. Big F, little f. This would be considered heterozygous. Little t. As we mentioned before, they're both lowercase, so this would mean homozygous. And little d would also be homozygous. Let's see. Big D, little d. This would be heterozygous. Little f would be homozygous. Big T, little t would be heterozygous. Little b would be homozygous. Big B would also be homozygous. And big F would be homozygous. Which of the genotypes in number 1 would be considered purebred? Okay, purebred means the same throughout. So that's going to be our homozygous genotypes. That would be big T, big T, big D, little t, little d, little d, little f, little b, big B, and big F, big F. A hybrid means it has two components. So for instance, a hybrid car, those can be charged electrically, but they can also run on gas. So they're using two sources of energy. So in this case, we want to know which ones have two different capitalizations. So for instance, one capital letter and one lowercase letter. So that means that it's going to be all of the heterozygous genotypes that we've already identified. We're going to highlight those in green. Big B, big F, big D, big T, little t. And now you can see that all of the genotypes have been classified as either purebreds or hybrids. And phenotype means physical, how it physically looks. The way I remember this is I remember that phenotype has pH, and so does physical, right? So how does it physically look? And that is what reminds me. So let's take a look at this one. It says the yellow body color is dominant to blue. So yellow is dominant, which means that the letter would be capital. Dominant is capital. Okay, so this would be yellow. This genotype also has a capital letter, making it yellow. And then this is little y, which means all lowercase and therefore would be recessive, which means it would be the recessive color, which is right here, blue. Big S, both capital, means it would be dominant, and the dominant phenotype was identified as being square. This also has a capital S, so it would be square as well. Little s. This does not have a capital letter, which means it is recessive, and so its phenotype would be round. Yes, we're going to be given the phenotype or how it physically looks, and we're going to determine what the genotype would be, or the genes, the alleles, how they would look represented by letters. Okay, so for each phenotype, give the genotypes that are possible for Patrick. A tall head, and notice that tall is represented by a capital T, and again, short is a lowercase t. So it identifies the letters for you. All right, so tall, this is kind of tricky because tall is dominant, therefore it could have two genotypes. The first would be big T, big T. It could also be big T, little t. All right, now short, the only way for it to become short is if it had two lowercase letters, meaning it would be recessive. That's going to be little t, little t. So now why don't you try to write the genotypes for pink body color, capital P, is dominant to yellow, lowercase p. All right, let's take a look. So pink for dominant could be capital P, or capital P, lower p. The yellow body would be represented by two yellow P's, little p, little p. I do want to note that you always stick with one letter. So it's usually going to be the first letter of whatever the dominant trait is. Pink starts with a P, and so that's why capital P is the pink and why yellow would be represented by little p. So number 4 says, SpongeBob SquarePants recently met Sponge Susie Round Pants at a dance. SpongeBob is heterozygous for his square shape, but Sponge Susie is round. Create a Punnett square to show the possibilities that would result if SpongeBob and Sponge Susie had children. Hint, read question number 2. So heterozygous square would be right here. Okay. So we're going to take a look at that. And we're going to put big S, little s. Right? The next one says that Sponge Susie is round. Okay? So round, again, is provided in number 2 as little s, little s. And so that would go here. All right, little s, little s. Okay, so let's go back to our Punnett square. In order to do this, you are going to essentially multiply by this. And together, that would make this big S, little s. And again, multiply this by this one. And that would give you little s, little s. Let's try this box. Again, you're going to be multiplying whatever is on the row, okay, so whatever is horizontal, and then multiplying it by whatever is vertical, whatever the vertical column is. So if we take a look at that, we would have big S, little s, and little s, little s. When you are multiplying and you have a capital letter and a lowercase letter, you're always going to write the capital letter first. That's just a rule that we need to remember. So we're going to list the possible genotypes and phenotypes for their children. So remember, genotype is going to be the letters. Heterozygous, dominant, and we also have homozygous, recessive. Okay, so this big S, little s is going to result in a phenotype of square. Lower s is going to result in a round phenotype. So now it says, what are the chances of a child with a square shape? Well, a square shape would be any of the boxes that have a capital letter because it's dominant. So that would be this box and this box. So that means that we would write 2 out of 4 boxes, or 50%. What are the chances of a child with a round shape? So that is going to be anything that has only lowercase letters. And that would be your lowercase s, lowercase s, lowercase s, lowercase s. So we're going to report that now. So this would be 2 out of 4, or 50%. All right, we're doing really good. We're doing really, really great. This next one says, Patrick met Patty at the dance. Both of them are heterozygous for their pink body color, which is dominant over a yellow body color. Create a Punnett square to show the possibilities that would result if Patrick and Patty had children. Hint, read question 3. So that would be big P, little p, big P, little p. And we're going to start multiplying. So big P times big P would be big P, big P. Little p times big P would be, again, capital letter first, big P, little p. Big P times little p, big P, little p. And little p times little p, little p, little p. All right, so now we're going to list out our genotypes, which again is the gene, how the alleles are looking, represented by letters. And that would be big P, big P, little p, and also little p, little p. It also wants to know the phenotypes, or how they physically look. And we know that pink is dominant. Pink is dominant. So we have a capital letter and a capital letter, which means pink. Also, capital P, little p, which would be pink. We don't need to rewrite that. But we also have a little p, which is the recessive trait, which means we could also have an offspring that would be yellow. So now let's take a look at this. What are the chances of a child with a pink body? Big P, big P, big P, little p, big P, little p. Okay. And so now we're going to write that, and that would be 3 out of 4, or 75%. Now it says, what are the chances of a yellow body? Well, the yellow body would only be the recessive, which would be little p, and that would be 1 out of 4, or 25%. I hope that this was a good refresher for your Punnett squares, and I encourage you to go ahead and review by doing questions 6, 7, and 8 on your own. I just want to say thank you again for watching as we learned about Punnett squares and reviewed. You all did a great job. Remember to keep watching other videos like this one so we can all keep learning together. You can watch lessons daily on STPPS TV or on our website at www.stpsb.org. See you again soon.
Hi, my name is Wendy Stein, and I'm an STPPS Special Education Curriculum Specialist for grades K through 6. I'm so glad that you could join me. In this lesson, we are going to learn about text structures. So let's get started. There are 5 text structures that we will be reviewing this week: description, sequence, compare and contrast, cause and effect, and problem and solution. Description is one of the 5 text structures that we will be discussing in the lesson. Description is a topic, idea, person, place, or thing that is described by listing its features, characteristics, or examples. If you look at the picture on this screen, we see a picture of a fish. If you were to describe the fish, you will say what it smells like, feels like, tastes like, sounds like, looks like, and maybe even give some examples of fish. Some signal words to look for are, for example, for instance, specifically, in particular, and in addition. Here's an example of a description text structure. Jimmy's Pizzeria is my favorite pizza place in the city, but you wouldn't be able to tell that just by looking at the outside. It is a hidden brown brick building. It doesn't even have a sign, just the name of the restaurant in 3-inch letters on the storefront window. The inside isn't much to speak of either. There are some chrome swivel stools along a laminate countertop that makes an L shape, separating the register and the kitchen area from the dining area. Booth seating lines the eating area of the restaurant, and a few favorable reviews from local publications are framed and displayed on the walls. Yeah, the decorations of the place are a little underwhelming, but forget the scenery. I go to Jimmy's for the pizza. The next text structure is sequential order. Sequential order describes the events in order or explains the steps one must follow to do something or to make something. For this example, it shows us how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. First, you would gather the peanut butter and jelly. Next, you would slice the bread. Then you would put peanut butter and jelly on each side of the bread. Next, you would put the 2 pieces of bread together and then finally you would enjoy your peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Some signal words to look for would be first, second, next, last, another, then, finally, after that, and before. Here's an example of a sequencing text structure. When I got home from school after a long, boring day, I took out the peanut butter, jelly, and bread. After taking the lid off of the jars, I spread the peanut butter on one side of the bread and the jelly on the other, and then I put the two pieces of bread together. After that, I enjoyed it while watching Cops on TV. I swear that was the best peanut butter and jelly sandwich I ever ate. So remember, for sequencing, it describes events in order, or it shows us how to make something. In this case, it is the peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Let's look at the next text structure, compare and contrast. When you compare and contrast, you are showing how two or more things are alike and how they are different. On this slide, we see a Venn diagram comparing and contrasting two animals, a lion and a tiger. The Venn diagram helps to support the text structure, compare and contrast, by showing how they are alike, which is the compare, and how they are different, which is the contrast. There are some signal words to look for when we are looking for compare and contrast. For example, you might see words comparing the two objects, such as similar to, alike, same as, not only but also, resemble, as well as, or both. For contrast, you may see some signal words such as different from, however, although, on the other hand, as opposed to, more than, less than, on the contrary. Let's look at this example for compare and contrast. All matter, all things can be changed in two ways, chemically and physically. Both chemical and physical changes affect the state of matter. Physical changes are those that do not change the makeup or identity of matter. For example, clay will bend or flatten if squeezed, but it will still be clay. Changing the shape of clay is a physical change and does not change the matter's identity. Chemical changes turn the matter into a new kind of matter with different properties. For example, when paper is burnt, it becomes ash and will never be paper again. The difference between them is that physical changes are temporary or only last for a little while, and chemical changes are permanent, which means they last forever. Physical and chemical changes both affect the state of matter. In this particular text, we're showing how two things are alike and how they are different. Chemically and physically, they are both the same. They both affect the state of matter, but there are differences between them. Let's look at the next text structure, cause and effect. Cause and effect shows the relationship between the cause, which is the event, and the effect, what happened because of that event. Look at the pictures. On the left, we see the cause, which is a thunderstorm. The thunderstorm is what happened first. The effects of the thunderstorm could be a rainbow, maybe some flooding, or maybe some beautiful flowers. Some signal words to look for would be consequently, therefore, as a result, reason why, because of, maybe due to. Let's look at an example of a cause and effect text structure. Have you ever had an ice cream headache? That's when a painful sensation resonates in your head after eating something cold, usually ice cream, on a hot day. This pain is produced by the dilation of a nerve center in the roof of your mouth. The nerve center is overreacting to the cold by trying to heat your brain. Ice cream headaches have turned many smiles into frowns. Remember that cause and effect shows the relationship between the cause, in this case eating ice cream too quickly, and the effect. What has happened because of this event? Well, if you eat ice cream too quickly, you will get an ice cream headache or a brain freeze. The last text structure is problem and solution. Problem and solution tells about a problem and then gives one or more solutions for that problem. So for example, on this slide, they show the problem is spilled milk. One solution is using paper towels to pick it up. Some signal words to look for in your text include consequently, therefore, as a result, thereby, leads to, and because of. Sometimes the text outright tells you what the problem is. Here's an example of a problem and solution text structure. Dr. Miller doesn't want the tigers to vanish. These majestic beasts are disappearing at an alarming rate. Dr. Miller thinks that we should write to our congresspeople. If we let them know that we demand the preservation of this species, maybe we can make a difference. Dr. Miller also thinks that we should donate to save the tigers. Our donations will help to support and empower those who are fighting the hardest to preserve the tigers. We owe it to our grandchildren to do something. Remember that problem and solution tells about a problem, in this case, the tigers vanishing at an alarming rate, and then gives a solution or two on how we can solve this problem. In this case, Dr. Miller says that we should donate to an organization called Save the Tigers to help preserve the tiger species. Let's practice. For this activity, you will need a sheet of paper and something to write with. Please number your paper 1 through 5. I'm going to read 5 different paragraphs to you. It is your job to determine which text structure is being used. Each text structure will only be used one time. Listen carefully for the type of text structure. Since I made honor roll every quarter this year, my mom is going to buy me a new phone for my birthday. I can't decide whether I want to get an iPhone or a Galaxy. They're both really cool phones and they cost about the same. But they're also different in a lot of ways too. Like the Galaxy has a bigger screen, the iPhone screen isn't small or anything, it's just not as big as the Galaxy's. However, the iPhone connects with my iTunes account. All of my music is already uploaded to iTunes, so all I have to do is sync my phone and then I can listen to all of my music. That'd be cool. But if I got a Galaxy, I could use Google Play to upload my old songs and buy new ones. This would give me a chance to go through my old music collection. That'd be cool too. I'm not sure which one I'm going to get, but I'm super pumped about this either way. Maybe if you make the honor roll every quarter next year, you can get a new phone too. It's worth a shot. What is the text structure of this paragraph? Write it down next to number 1 on your paper. Number 2. No one knows exactly what causes tornadoes, but some scientists believe that when warm air meets cold air, a tornado may form. The reason for this is that the warm air is lighter than the cold air, so it rises up fast and meets different winds moving different directions. Under the right conditions, this can cause a tornado. Though there is still much mystery surrounding tornadoes, Many people believe that when warm, moist air meets cool, dry air, tornadoes can result. Name that text structure. Once you've written your answer down next to number 2, click the space bar to move to the next slide. Number 3. Freezer burn may have wasted more ice cream than sidewalks. If you don't know, freezer burn is when ice crystals form on the surface of ice cream. These ice cream crystals can ruin the texture and flavor of ice cream. But you can prevent freezer burn. Since freezer burn is caused when melted ice cream is refrozen, rather than eating your ice cream from the container as it melts, scoop your ice cream into a bowl and put the container back into the fridge immediately. Doing this ought to help solve your issues with freezer burn. What type of text structure is this? Remember to be referring to the top of your paper to look at the different types of text structures. Listen carefully to number 4. Pop out the egg yolk to a small bowl and mash with a fork. Add mayonnaise, mustard powder, vinegar, salt and pepper, and mix thoroughly. Fill the empty egg white shell with the mixture and sprinkle lightly with paprika. Cover lightly with plastic wrap and refrigerate for up to 1 day before serving. Name that text structure. Number 5. If you ask me, the perfect pizza has a thin crust, but not too thin. Even though I'm from Chicago, I prefer a New York style crust. Your perfect pizza might have tomato sauce on it, but mine has pesto on top. On the pesto, I like to see lots of cheese, a full layer of shredded mozzarella and Romano cheese, and on top of the shredded mozzarella, I'd like to see some slices of fresh mozzarella. Now you might think I'm crazy for this one, but I'd really like to see some goat cheese in the crust. To top it all off, I'd like to see it polka dotted with pepperoni slices. Now that's what I call a pizza pie. Name that text structure. So how'd you do? Did you get them all right? Maybe just missed one or two? If you have any additional questions, please reach out to your classroom teacher. Thank you for watching as we learned about text structure. You did a great job. Remember to keep watching other videos like this one so we can all keep learning together. You can watch lessons daily on STPPS TV or on our website at stpsb.org. See you again soon.
Hey guys, this is Coach Leek. I'm going to show you a soccer workout that you can do at your home. You will need a few items to make this workout work. I have a soccer ball. If you don't have a soccer ball, you can use a volleyball or a basketball, something of that similar size. And then I have 2 shoes that I will use today for my cones. You can use 2 items that you have around your house. And then I have a goal set up with 2 garbage cans. You can find 2 items around your house that you can set up as a goal. Now, if you cannot get outside and you have to stay inside, you can use a pair of socks, ball them up, and you can use that as a ball, or you can just crumple up some piece of paper into a ball and you can use that. And then the same thing, you will need 2 type of cones in your house. You can use 2 shoes. And then we're going to be doing some shooting in our activities today, so you want to make sure that you're not using a hard force if you happen to be indoors. Okay? So for outside, I'm going to show you a warm-up first that you're going to use with the soccer ball to get us going. So the first one is going to be foundations. Okay, foundations is where you're going to touch the ball with the inside of your feet very gently. Okay, just keeping that ball moving. Once you get the rhythm of it, then I want to see if you can go a little bit faster and keep the ball going for 20 seconds. Okay, so just nice and light touches with the inside of your feet, which is called foundations. Okay, after 20 seconds, you're going to do toe touches. Toe touches are where you're going to touch the ball, the top of the ball, with the bottom of your shoe. Okay, once you get that rhythm going, then I want you to try to speed it up and get it to where you're in a jog pace and you're doing toe touches for 20 seconds. Okay, remember, little light touches on the ball, real soft force. Okay, after 20 seconds of that, we're gonna do outside, inside. So remember that pattern. You're gonna touch it with the outside of your foot and then inside. So it goes outside, inside, I'm switching feet, outside, inside. I want you to get that rhythm going, and can you speed it up and keep the ball close? Notice I'm not using big forces, just nice and light, keeping it close to my body. Outside, inside, for 20 seconds. Okay, that'll be your warm-up. You'll do each of those activities for 20 seconds. All right, next activity we're going to do is some dribbling and shooting. Okay, when you're dribbling, same thing with the warm-up. I want you to use soft, light forces on the ball. Nothing too big. We're going to use big forces, strong forces when you're shooting. Okay, so dribbling, we're going to use the inside of our foot first. Okay, the inside of your foot is you're going to point your toe out, and you're going to try to hit it here on the inside of your foot. Again, emphasize light force when you're dribbling. So I want you to start at one of the shoes. You're going to dribble around the shoe using the inside of my right foot, around it and back. And when you get back, I want you to take one shot into the goal. And when you're shooting, you can shoot with the inside of your foot, same way we did with dribbling, or you can shoot with the instep. Okay, the instep is going to be with your laces. So you're going to point your toe down and you can strike it. So either one of those works when you're shooting. Okay, so here we go. Inside of my foot, dribbling around the shoe, back, and then back to the middle. You'll take one shot. Good, made it. And I'll get to go again. I want you to do the 3 times with your right foot. Okay, after you do 3 times, I want you to go with your left foot now. So inside of my left foot, I'm going to dribble around the shoe and back, and I'm going to take one shot. When you're shooting, you can shoot with your dominant foot. Okay, or if you want to, you can switch and go to the non-dominant, but I prefer to go with my dominant foot. Okay, so again, I'm going to dribble first with the inside of my left foot. Nice and soft touches, and then back. And then I dribble to the goal, and take one shot. Good. Okay, so you'll do that one 3 times. Inside of your left foot 3 times. Next one we're going to dribble with is the outside of your foot. Okay, the outside of the foot is located by your pinky toe. Okay, so all you're going to do is just kind of put that pinky toe on that ground, and I want you touching the ball lightly, light force, with the outside of a foot around the shoe and back. Okay, I'm going to use the outside of my right foot. Around, come back to the start, and then now I get to take my shot again. Okay, set it up, take my shot. Okay, you'll do that 3 times, right foot. Okay, then I'll go to my left. I'll do the outside of my left foot, around the shoe and back, and again I'm taking one shot. Okay, small little touches, little light touches on the ball. Dribble back to the middle, take one shot. Okay, all right, after that one, the last one that you can do will be up to you. It's your choice. You can create your own. Some people would like to try to see if they can go inside the feet like we did with our foundations, around it, or you can do like we did before with the outside inside, or you can just go for speed. So you're trying to go as fast as you want around it and back. You'll have that last activity do 3 times. So I'm just going to try to choose to do the outside of my right foot so I can go a little bit faster. Good. Right back, and I'm taking one shot. Good. All right. So that concludes our activities. And after you conclude the activity, you have to do a cool down. Okay, so for our cool down, we're going to get a couple of stretches. Okay, the first one is called marching soldiers. Okay, so you won't need a ball. I just want you to do touching your toe, okay, to your hand. So my hands are up here. I'm trying to kick my toes up to my hands. So I'm just going to do those for about 20 seconds. Okay, remember we're just trying to cool down our bodies, trying to get our heart rate down so we can get back to a resting state. The next one we have is called flamingos. You're going to grab your foot, okay, you got to get some balance and try to touch your toe. Okay, you're going to switch feet. Okay, grab and touch. Okay, this is called flamingos. So So you're just grabbing your foot, touching your toes. Balance is going to be difficult. Do the best you can. Okay, grab and touch. So we're doing that one for 20 seconds. The next one is called butterflies. Butterflies, you're going to stretch the inside of your legs. So I want you to push with your elbows out on your knees. So inside of your knees, elbows are pushing out, and you're doing a butterfly stretch. Okay, after 20 seconds, if you want to try to do those 3 activities again, then we can do that, those 3 stretches again. Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.